Hello, everybody. You're listening to Jae Has Questions. My guest today is Rohit Sharma. He is a friend, a father, a writer, comedian, actor, and just a motivating person. My talk with him was long overdue. He's a really good friend of mine. We've written together and done a lot of video projects. He's a confidant, great man, great person, great human being. Very excited to share his story. Now, I say his name wrong many, many times throughout the interview. And mind you, we are very close, and I'm still pronouncing his name wrong, and he still hangs out with me. So that's just how good of a person he is, you know? I still don't know how to say it. I'm going to be honest. I thought I was saying his name right the whole time, and I was not. But he does correct me, and I was a little tired in this interview. Little tired, and I thought I did very well. Rohit was upset that I was not giving him my 110%. But you know what? I'm going to make up for it. This intro is going to make up for how tired I was during that intro. It was just a long day. You know, when you push yourself, you do a bunch of stuff. And I never thought as an adult I would explain my day to people in that way. I just got such a long day. How are you? Oh, I just had a long day. Just a long day. It's like, well, technically, every day is the same amount of time. So there really is no difference. Oh, but I had a long day. Just such a long day. And I'm just pooped out. I think being pooped out would be a good thing. That means you had some bowel movements. And you have a healthy colon, right? I want to be pooped out. I'm not pooped out. I haven't been pooped out in a very long time. Okay. A little bit about the episode before I play it. Some of the things I want you guys to talk about or take away from this is how to take compliments as a performer and how to be vulnerable. And vulnerability is tough. I'm being vulnerable right now because I'm talking into a microphone by myself, but I know you guys are out there listening to it. But I don't know how you're going to react. That makes me feel vulnerable. Interview, we focused on a few things about moving forward, having honest conversations with people in relationships, and to trust that the universe has a mission for you, and it puts stuff out in front of you for you to take a chance. We both hate bowling is what we discovered in the interview, so any professional bowlers out there, that game sucks. We just don't like it. Our bodies are not meant to throw heavy balls for that many lanes, frames. I don't know. We just both don't like bowling. That was a fun discovery in this conversation. We just let the conversation go and we explored it. And what we found is that we both hate bowling, but we do care about mental health. Mental health came up a lot in this discussion, and creativity, the dangers and expectations of being in the entertainment industry, and how important it is just to learn, meet people, and build a community. That's the more important thing than these different hierarchies of success and status. Build a community. Focus on experimenting with yourself, sharing your passion, but also experimenting and not sort of pigeonholing yourself too early. And have patience. That's the biggest pitfall that Rohit said was people don't have patience. And they just get so pissed off and depressed because they're like, why isn't this happening? I felt like that this whole year. I said, I'm doing this podcast, but who knows? Why? What is even the point? What's the point? I mean, who gives, like, no, like I could look at it and go, you know what? No one cares. No one cares about this podcast. No one's going to care. And then right away that puts me in the mindset of that no one's going to care. But I can quickly realign myself and go, you know what? This is going to be the best goddamn podcast ever put out. And I'm confidently saying that this episode is going to be making podcast history. And you're going to be a part of it. I hope you enjoyed the episode. You're watching Jae Has Questions, or you're listening to it. My guest today is Mr. Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma is a...
Rohit Sharma.
Why do you always correct me? That's how your name... What's what your name is?
This is embarrassing. We're starting?
We're starting.
Well, then, a proper introduction would be requested.
Introduce yourself.
Hi. But I'm going to look at you when I say this.
No, look at the camera.
Because you seem to have the problem every time I talk to you. I've known Sam for a couple of years now, and it took me, I guess, a year to realize that he consistently said my name wrong because people... Rohit. Well, okay.
Oh, I'm saying it sounds like I'm saying H-E-T. That's what
it definitely sounds like.
Okay, we'll redo it.
So if I was going to be talking to another Indian in India, or if I just around my family, I'd call myself Rohit Sharma. But there's a TH sound.
Oh, I'm saying it like H-E-D.
You're saying Rohit.
Rohit.
And this happens. Like we did this exercise before because you're putting an emphasis on the T and you're hitting it. Yeah, you're hitting it for sure.
Rohit Sharma.
Holy crap. Rohit Sharma.
Okay.
You know, we can edit this all out. You can just start from now.
Okay. Hi, you're watching Sam Jae Has Questions or listening to Sam Jae Has Questions. My guest today is Rohit Sharma.
Hi. Happy New Year, Sam.
I'm just mad that I did it right. Happy New Year.
It was so easy for you to do it right.
So you're my first guest of 2020. How does it feel to be bringing in the decade?
It's an exciting time, Sam. It's an exciting time. I feel like I'm done waiting and hoping, and I'm doing more to be the driver in the car of my life.
Okay. What kind of car is it?
A Tesla.
Okay.
I want to be hip, but I also want to be doing something nice for the environment.
Do you hear Apple's going to buy Tesla? That's a rumor I'm starting.
Oh, okay. Is this the kind of propaganda you want to share on these waves?
Yeah, Apple is going to buy Tesla, and then pretty soon you're going to have to buy a new Tesla every 2 years because of the upgrades.
You got to upgrade. I actually I did a commercial one time for Apple.
Really? Can you talk about it, or did you sign an NDA?
I signed an NDA, but they didn't air it. So what does that mean?
They didn't want to disclose it either.
They actually, they broke it before I did.
Wow.
They're like, well, we're going to pretend like that didn't exist. It was like a full day's work. And I auditioned for this role where a woman had to jump into my arms and I had to catch her.
Yeah.
And I had never done that once in my life up until that point.
Okay.
And needless to say, 2 women jumped into my arms that day several times. And I caught all of them, both of them, all of the time. And then they booked me for the commercial.
You caught them like this?
Yeah, so she had to wrap her hand around my neck and then like toss her body up into my arms. So I had to be like, whoop, right? And so I didn't know if I had the capacity to do that unless you train or try it.
Yeah, you could hurt your back.
There's a good chance I could hurt the person, Sam. I'm not worried about myself.
Oh.
I'm worried about dropping a woman.
I picture that and my back hurts. No matter the size of the woman, it's not a fat joke.
You were tired. You just got tired from hearing me talk about my back.
That's where I'm at.
We started this conversation where Sam told me that I'm getting the last 5% of his battery life. If he was an iPhone, I'd be on the red battery.
I'm on low battery mode. Let's start proper because I feel like let's tell these people on the Sam Jae Has Questions world who you are. They don't know who you are. This is your first time here. I've probably spoken about you multiple times on the podcast.
That's so adorable.
All good things.
Yeah, you have nothing bad to say about me.
But what do you do? I mean, what is...
I am Rohit Sharma. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, or the suburbs of Boston. And I moved to Los Angeles in 2011 to pursue an acting career. So today on my resume, it says actor. Yeah. So I go out and I audition for television, movies, and commercials and voiceover.
So 2011, you moved to LA from Boston. You had started acting and performing in Boston, doing improv and sketch. Is that correct?
Yes. I was living a life of a salesman. I was selling, what was I doing? I was working for Sprint, selling cell phones to companies.
Wow.
And I
Like a
had
company plan?
kind of
Like an
like, so I'd
enterprise?
come to your office and I'd say, how many guys do you have in your office? What kind of phones are you using? If there'd be any sort of business application of like, do you guys travel? Do you use email? Do you use apps? And back then, this is what, 2007?
So was the
Kind of used
iPhone?
phones differently.
Was the iPhone
It
even
was
out yet?
before touch phones were
Oh my
really hot on
God.
the
So you're
streets.
like,
Blackberries were the
guys, I got this thing. It's called T9.
Yeah, and I was enthusiastic about it, but I wasn't good at it. And so it ended 3 years later, and I began the summer of Rohit, or the year of Rohit. So 2010, I started an exploration into performing. I learned about improv classes that I think I started taking the summer before in 2009. And I started taking improv classes, started meeting some people, and I just found out how much fun I was having making people laugh. And it's one thing to laugh with your friends and like joke around, and my friends would always bust each other's balls, but like to, I guess, intentionally do it on a stage and perform it, it was like, holy shit, that's a thing I could do.
Yeah.
And that I didn't know I could do, much like I didn't know I could catch women
Right, right.
until I did it.
Yeah. I mean, I just think out of context, what you just said might be problematic, but I think everyone who's been listening.
Yeah, so if you just took a sound bite, that would sound weird. Yeah,
I'm Rohit Sharma,
and I could.
and I can.
We'll start this over again. Take 3.
Going back to uh, discovering that you can make people laugh. This is a thing that I struggle with, or I feel weird about, is performing and having a good set, show, whatever, and
Yep.
someone comes up and says, "Oh, like thank you so much. Yeah, you were really funny," and taking in that compliment, because yes, like
It's a weird thing to like do from. You wouldn't do that if you were talking in a, like if we were at the coffee shop we were just at and we were just laughing at each other. I wouldn't say thank you for that.
no, I had an old
Right?
neighbor that would do that though. It was really funny. He'd laugh at a joke and go, "Thank you,
Sounds like an adorable person,
thank you."
right?
And then you go like, then he'd say the punchline in his head again, and you go, "Ha ha ha, ha,
Yeah.
thank you."
You wouldn't even do that to a stranger that you would meet if you were just talking to. But in the context of performing,
Right.
you're doing something with an intention that you have to learn. It's not necessarily a natural thing. And you have to be able to tap into people and figure out a way to connect with them and use your pain and sorrows and humor and the good things in your life to share and get that connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so those early years, I didn't know what I was doing per se, but I knew that I could learn how to do something.
How did you take the learning curve of it? And I guess specifically with having bad sets, what was your mindset to just, you're like, whatever, I'm learning.
Yeah.
Like you gave yourself almost a pass to be bad
For sure.
in a way.
I think I knew from my past work experiences of like starting from the ground up. And I ran a couple of, I was involved with a medical practice, and I helped build the practice to get patients in the door to see our doctors. And my job was basically going out there and learning everything from the ground up of this company to how patients' file folders are held to how people are coming in, insurance, and all that crap. And so I think I have that humbleness or something that's like, if you dare to learn something and want to pursue it, you should figure it out from the ground up. Like you have to know that it's not going to go perfect every time. If it goes good once, it may never happen again.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I think the thing that I chased that was a reason to do it was just the laughter. It was literally having my own fun with it and laughing because I like my first improv classes were like 3 hours a week where you're with like 12 people and your whole point is to listen and react. And out of that came so much laughter and it made me feel like a kid where I was like, holy shit, like I just got to do that. Like I
Yeah.
had fun doing that, and it was an experience that I was almost brand new to me.
Yeah, it was so different from your day to
To
day.
anything that I was doing that was like orchestrated, constructed to say, if you do these things, the potential laughter will follow.
So it's kind of that's a great for sure. That's great, and I think I use it in a way to cope. Like for example, just this week I had to. Well, I wanted to. Gosh, I don't even know if I should talk about this on the podcast.
You got to be vulnerable.
Just taking a dramatic pause. um, I had to. I had to communicate with someone that had been seen and was in a relationship with, that I no longer wanted to
Continue it.
continue it. We
Oh,
talked about that.
yeah,
before.
you did it.
I did it.
You confronted.
I was
Not in a negative way, but you approached it.
I communicated.
You
Yeah,
communicated. You took the step.
I took the step.
That's a
and-
mature thing, Sam, because it's easy not to.
It is, and I realized if I didn't do it now, then it would get harder prolonging it.
So this has been on your mind for some time.
Yeah, at least
and then
2 months.
What was the straw?
The straw was just the like I just have to do it. Like this is just the time.
Because you want to be a good person, because you want to learn how to communicate better, because you want to close things and move forward properly.
Yeah, a little bit of that, and I just was like, I'm an adult. Like people have to have these conversations, and for some whatever reason, something clicked in me that was like, I'm ready to have this finally. Like I can deal with it. I feel like I ran the conversation so many times in my head, but I was like afraid of what their actual response would be. Like I'd see it, I'd imagine I'd be there, and then I'd look at them, and then like it was just so much anxiety.
Yeah.
Of not knowing what they would say.
Well, I would like to think that maybe you did it because we talked and I gave you some good advice.
For sure. I would say that's probably the only reason that I did it. And frankly, the only reason I do a lot of stuff is just because you tell me to do it.
That's the way I live my life. I really live my life that way, where I like have Rohit points in my life and I give them to myself whenever I want to, that make me feel good about my contribution to society.
Right.
And I feel like I have an opinion that is a good place to check in. Let's say it that way.
Sure.
Then I'm not going to steer you wrong, and I don't necessarily always have the answers, but I'll talk to you and help you come up with some good solutions.
Well, what I made sure that I didn't do was continue to talk to people. Like I had spoken to you, I had, talked to other people,
Yeah.
but I knew that this decision I had to make on my own. I couldn't keep going to people and sort of like
getting fucking living in the misery of what your situation.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't want to keep not relying, but like I just have to do it. So I sat down and I was just like, I'm gonna write out the conversation. Like I had seen her text.
You were like, let's fucking write
I'm like, let me write this down, because I'm you're thinking about it, you're like, oh, you know what, I'm just at this point in my life, and people give this like big spiel about it, and you're like, they don't need that information. It's not like this. It's not my like filibuster.
Well, you're writing it as an epic fucking scene. Sam and I also write together.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's the writer's brain in your head that's like,
oh, that's what.
Let me fucking perform this.
Well, so that's when I realized I couldn't. I had enough sincerity. I tapped out that I just went into okay, how could this be a bit? And I go, I immediately got into bit mode. I go, okay, all right, this is tough. I want to break up with a woman, but it's tough because I'm a feminist. So in the text, I sent over this, and then I included like a link to like Beyonce's Formation.
Yeah.
Like and like, girl, you got it, girl. You know what I mean? Like I'm so like drawn by it.
I spend my time doing that too. Every moment of my life, I try to look at it from a cinematic point of view, and I'm like, that was fucking it couldn't have happened another way that I wouldn't want to share it with somebody.
Yeah. Like it's important to write that stuff down.
So wait, let me ask you this. You said I reached a point where I said enough's enough. I have to face this.
Yeah, you can't keep stringing people along.
Well, why do you think people spend so much time in that space? Because I know a lot of people that will tell you about their problem, and then just tell you about the problem without talking about what they're going to do to fix it. So how do we fix that? How do we get people to kind of like say enough is enough? I want to fucking change where I am right now and do that fucking thing that I know I need to do, but I just sit here in that emotion.
I think people don't realize how much effort it takes just to start something, and that putting off, people have this, they put it in such a big frame.
Yeah.
And the word's big, we talk about that with Isaiah. The word big fucks you up because you think of it as such a life altercating.
It's too daunting.
It's too daunting. And then like even with writing, like when you were saying, I don't have the time to write, or you're not feeling creative. And I said, dude, you're putting this creativity and making it bigger, and
like
you're
I'm
putting
saying, I don't have
outside
the
of
finished
you.
product done yet.
Right.
Versus just putting down a fucking idea and starting there.
Well, like writing 3 pages a day for me, like
get you to that
3 times 365, like that's how much writing I'm doing a year.
Yeah.
I don't, but if I were to sit down and go, I need to write a book.
Yeah, then you'll just feel like,
and like, oh shit, I haven't written my book yet.
But what I like about what you said when you said, I talked to enough people to get some feedback, and then you said, I wrote down the conversation. And I think that is such an amazing thing that I'm like now stepping into, is the clarity you need to move forward. You need a plan. And I know how silly that may sound. Of course, you need a plan. You need to know where you're going. But sometimes you get lost in your minutia, and you might not even know what the actual thing is that you want to do, because you've just now created a whole world of buzz and crap, and people did this, people said that, and you lose what the fucking point of it all was.
Right.
I'm thinking about, when you're telling me this, like people in my life where it's just like, simplify, start small, and then eventually, like you just said, those small changes or small things that you do will add up into that bigger piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, why look at that big thing and be intimidated by it when you'd be like, oh, why make it so complicated?
Yeah, and that's what I was doing when I started thinking of the message. I'd write this thing out, and then I'd read it, and it just like, I'm like, but my intention is essentially this. This is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I don't need to put like this other like flowery type of language that's, because I've gotten those texts many times of like, hey, I'm not that interested. You're a great guy. I'm just at this point in my life. Like they almost overindulge. They over-explain in a way, because they can't just say it succinctly that I don't think we're on the same page, and like we're not going to continue to see each other.
So you went the cold-blooded route.
No, I didn't. I set the intention, and it was truthful.
Yeah.
And then I said, look, I'm very thankful for the time in my life, in our lives, that we spent together. I appreciate so much of the positive experiences that you gave me. I hope that I also transition, am leaving you with that. And she was like, yeah, totally. Like, we both were maybe overly hopeful that a scenario of, oh, we're not really dating each other, we don't really like each other, but we're still hanging out, sort of thing. Like, she goes, I think I was just stubborn. I wanted to have my cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And she's like, I learned that next time maybe that doesn't work out.
That's awesome.
So, and yeah, exactly. And it was like, this person deserves that.
An honest and helpful kind of way to interact with people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't wish anything bad on you, and I appreciate your time. I don't know. I mean, that's
exactly
what I'm getting from it. And if we treated people like that every day, then holy crap.
Because people are afraid. They're afraid of any sort of confrontation.
Yeah.
So, but back in 2011, you weren't afraid.
You're right. No.
And you started comedy, and it was the year of the row.
It was my time where I left that job selling, or I got laid off because I just didn't have the numbers to support my job there. And that was a little tough, because you're like, oh, I was enthusiastic about something, but I wasn't able to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
So having enthusiasm towards something is not enough to be good at it. I think I learned that in a hard way. So I could say now I give myself the credit of using that experience and allowing me to just not just have passion for making people laugh, but actually fucking learning how to do it. And then turning and learning that, okay, it's not just at the time it was improv, and then you learn very quickly that that's not a way to make a living. And then it turned into stand-up comedy, and it was like, oh wow, this is a fun expression. And then it turned into sketch comedy, and that was like, holy crap, like being in front of a camera and writing your own material, like that's all of this stuff is brand new to me, and it was taking hours of my life. And it wasn't just because at this point it was to make people laugh. It was like, is this a real life thing that people can do? And of course it is, but where I came from, nobody I knew was making a career in some sort of entertainment, let alone acting or comedy or anything like that. So it was a brand new world to me in Boston that I would never have found it on my own had I not had gone through those transitional changes. So if I had not lost my job out of inconvenience, where I had to move back home because I just didn't have the fucking money to be out in the city again or anymore, and then kind of being like, well, what is it that I'm here for, without even asking that question. Like, I honestly think the universe put me in positions where I started doing things literally to find out what it is that I can learn and develop and or just experience. I tried to take a piano class, and I learned that I didn't have the time to invest in that, where it drove me to want to do it. I was like, this is a cool thing. If I could play a Coldplay song, I would be happy with that.
Right.
But I don't understand what music is. I don't know how to read it. I definitely didn't know where the keys were on the keyboard.
Yeah.
So it was a cool thing to be like, oh, I tried it. I was in a bowling league for fucking 3 months or 4 months.
Yeah.
And I realized how much I hated bowling and how
Dude,
I would never wanna do
I
that.
realized that last time I was on a date, and I go, fuck, it sucks bowling with two people because you don't get a chance to take a break.
Yeah, you're constantly back and forth. That's the worst place.
Yeah.
Worse than a movie.
And I'm like, damn, this sucks.
Is that why the last relationship didn't work out? You guys were always in a bowling alley?
Yeah, like, well, we paid for the hour. I just needed like
we got
15.
a season worth of bowling. I got it as a Groupon. I thought it'd be cool.
And the worst part is, like, you watch people who are really good at bowling, who can do the bowling where they like curve it and it does that super sexy.
It
like,
doesn't work. Because you know why? The balls are fucking heavy, and your hand starts hurting really fast.
yeah, my wrist starts hurting.
Of course it should. You shouldn't hold anything that heavy.
Yeah,
and
your
roll
body is not meant to like use its leverage appendix and swing.
Yeah, you
stuff.
don't have fucking bowler's arm when you're born.
The only caveman to do that was Fred Flintstone.
Yeah, and he was the only one.
He was, yeah. I had a joke that so people tell me that I look like a Mexican Fred Flintstone.
Has that happened?
It was
it
was a reach.
I could see it. If I needed to see it, I wouldn't come out and say, "Hey, Sam, you look like a Mexican Fred Flintstone." Frexican.
Mexican. Okay, starting comedy, but you came out here and you realized
how much I needed to learn. I came out here and I talked to my parents, and they had known that I've been off in a weird different path than it was working a career job at a place for, whatever. That's what my mom and dad did. They worked at the same place for 30 plus years.
Yeah, so did my mom.
And they retired. And at the time
Where was it? Where'd they work?
My mom worked in banking and my dad worked in manufacturing, and I learned from them what work was, work ethic. They showed it to us. They raised us with great work ethic. And I realized that.
And they're both from India.
Yeah. So if we take it even further, I was born in India. My family's from India. We migrated to the United States. My dad migrated here in 1981, soon after I was born, I think in like December.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mom, my sister, and I came in 1983.
Wow.
Like a year later. Something like that.
So for 2 years he was solo.
For a year. He
Oh,
was
yeah,
away. Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. So it was imagine the
It must have been a nice
people
vacation.
that raised me.
Imagine that now. You leave for a
Imagine,
year.
yeah, he's probably like the ultimate sacrifice these guys made to say we want better for our family. And there's something in my blood that is driving me to do the same thing. I think everyone should hopefully realize that at some point, that you live for the people around you, and you would hope that every generation you provide for your family and then some. And the people in my life that helped me do that, and then my wife's family, same story, where they came as immigrants here and they've done well for themselves. And it's in our blood, I'd say, a little bit more to be like, oh, if they can do it, then I can do something transformational on that front. Um, yeah, I don't know where I'm going.
Well, I kind of want you to talk about you knew that you needed to learn.
Okay, so I come to LA and I was like, I don't have I never went to film school. I never took acting classes other than a few workshops in Boston when I started poking my head into this world. And so I knew that I reached out to a comedian that you even talked to, Ahmed Barosha, and I knew him from Boston. At least I knew him. I don't know if he knew me, but I'd watch him perform and be like, this fucking guy's great. And before I left, I was like, hey, man, I'm trying to make the jump, and I know I need to just hit the ground running. Like, can you point me in the right direction? And it was before I think I knew Comedy Bureau, or if it might have been around in 2011, I'd imagine.
Mhm.
It'd been around for a couple of years or something around that. Didn't you have that guy on here too?
Yeah, I interviewed him 3 podcasts ago, Jake
Yeah.
Kroger.
Okay. So he was so kind to be like, this is where I go. These are the places you should check out.
Yeah.
And I remember doing just that. I got into UCB when I moved out here, and then I got into doing mics. But the LA scene is just like, I don't know, it's a monster. And if you don't approach it the right way, or I don't know what it was, maybe I didn't have the right approach for myself, like from a mental health point of view or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you can burn out.
It's hard. It's a lonely road. And so I liked from improv the community aspect of it. For me, it's always like I'm better with at least one other person than I am by myself. I'm bound to learn something from the other person and hopefully improve as a person myself.
Right.
So I think I learned within 6 months that it was going to be harder for me to do stand up in LA than I wanted it to be, without having like the aspirations of being like, I'm here to be a stand up comedian. To me, it was like, I just want to be funny. What's the best way to learn it?
So you got here in 2012 then? That, like, you would say 2012, 2013, you had taken improv classes out here. You were at least familiar with some of the open mics,
Yeah.
and somewhat of the scene.
Yeah.
So 2012, you'd say that's like the year that you felt a little more confident.
I was at least on a map at being like, all right, if I'm here to do and learn, these are places that I
So
can do
just here to learn. There was no.
it wasn't like I'm here to make money.
Well, because what I want to get to is just expectations.
Yeah.
And the dangers of expectations with being in this
kind of
this type of
environment, this
thing.
kind of work.
So what were your expectations?
Learn.
Just learn.
Meet people, build a community, and be consistent. So I think when I made the move to come out to California, I decided that if I'm going to be doing this full time and making a pursuit, an honest pursuit out of it, I should be doing it in Boston, like, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the year I decided, it was like January 2011, that I was like committed that it was like going to be Los Angeles. I was like, if I don't do this every day or weekly for the next 8 months, then why should I leave? Like, if I'm not pushing it now, then I'm never going to figure it out.
Yeah, when there's like sort of less.
Yeah, there's less pressure. It's kind of like people do it because they're into it, or they have time as a hobby. And it was like, if I want this to be more of a hobby, then I have to prove to myself, commit to myself of doing it out in Boston. And then I successfully did that. And I moved out here to then say, well, it's a whole new place to start out. I moved out here by myself, and I didn't have a network of any sorts. And so I had to meet people, and and just kind of get into those classes and be like, all right, I'm now around people that are doing this thing as a thing versus just like as a hobby.
Yeah.
Where it still can be, but my thought process was LA is a place where business happens and people act, and they are actors in a profession or comedians in a profession.
So 2012 comes, you're just learning for 2012, 2013, 2014. You're on a sketch team in 2015. When did you start
I
performing
started
sketch?
doing video sketch in 2013, where it was I was like, if I want to do this, I have to treat it like it's an actual thing. So I started contacting people on like online. I think it was like Mandy.com or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I found a video guy, I found an
No
editor.
shit. Wow.
And I was like, I want to do this, so I might as well go through the process of learning from the ground up how to do it. So I found the people that would fill in those roles, and then we started making our own stuff. And it was my film school. So I had no experience prior to the improv classes I took, but it was like, I liked the idea of writing something out and then seeing what it would come out as your vision at the end through video. And we called it Chubby Money, because when I moved to LA, I had a friend from back home that knew an agent, and he hooked me up with him. And I go, hey, I'd like to talk to you about representation. He goes, I've been looking for some more chubby actors. And I was like, well, then I'm your man. And so that was like, for me, it was, I don't know. I didn't make any money for being an overweight actor with that guy. There was no advancements because of that.
He was like an agent for like
He was
theatrical?
a commercial
Oh,
theatrical
commercial.
agent.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, you're a chubby guy, so I'll work with you. I was like, okay. But we made no strides in the chubby market for me.
It's all tapped out.
I don't know what happened. But yeah, I started doing the videos, and it was like, all right, let's do this. Let's figure out how to write something, shoot it, and then edit it. And then it was, okay, we enjoy doing it. And then it was, let's do it as often as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to the point where we were releasing videos on a weekly basis, I think for a year. And it was incredible. And it goes back to what I think I told you when I started improv. It was like, there was nothing that I wouldn't do and judge myself for, to the point where it would inhibit me to create something.
Say that again for me?
Yeah. I would create without judgment. And so I was able to freely create.
Okay.
So many times now, so what are we in 2020, 5 years later, 6 years later, I'm a little bit more resistant to just write as freely as I was back then.
Yeah.
Which I'm hopefully getting out of, that inhibition.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time in my life, it was the actual college experience I never thought I would have. Meaning, like, I'm immersed in something that I'm truly passionate about, but at the same time, I want to learn everything about it. Because I also know if I don't make it as a comedian or actor, maybe I can learn another skill that can help me along this way. In some way, capacity, if I can make a living in storytelling, that would be fascinating to me.
Yeah, Isaiah always says, like, this is going to serve you later at some point. Everything serves you, you know, like gets you here to there. And it's been so true, because I feel like you can look at that and go, you know what, I kind of stalled out. I was like in a rut, you know, like, and you view your life in a way and you go, well, hold on, that actually led you to here, got you to meet this person, or got to realize I don't want to do that, and then you leave, you know, or it's sort of taking a different look at these experiences and everything that they kind of,
I think,
you know,
we mentioned Isaiah twice.
Yeah.
So Isaiah is a hypnotherapist that both Sam and I use. And I used it, or I found Isaiah, because my wife and I would just be having these arguments all the time. And I was like, something's wrong, but I don't know what it is. At the time, we were just dating. And so I took it upon myself to be like, hey, what if we just talk to somebody? Because clearly there's something going on, but I don't know what it is. And
bold move.
Well, it is a bold move. You know why? Because people live through bullshit and they don't ever try to work on it.
Yeah.
They're never like, well, why are we having this bullshit?
Yeah.
Like, why are we always bumping into each other without understanding what the fucking problem is? And up until that point in my life, like, therapy was never a thing. But I was in a situation where I was like, I'm happy here in my relationship. And there are some issues that we could figure out, but it was like, is it worth figuring it out? Because sometimes, yeah, maybe it's not incompatible or compatible. Like you found out with this person that you were talking about earlier. And then you have to weigh, you're like, is it worth fucking figuring out, maybe learning something about myself and or the other person and hopefully becoming a better person. So that happened for me through my relationship with my wife. And it's only helped us as we've grown. And it's one of the strongest reasons that I'm still able to pursue what I'm doing with more confidence than ever
Mm-hmm.
without maybe not having that training and or that experience, but having that belief that, yeah, we're here for a reason and we need to tap into that. And when I realized that that was okay for me to do, I think I finally started like being present in my life. Where I was like, holy shit, like now things matter. When I sold phones to companies, I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to party with my friends. And when I moved across the country, I wanted to learn something, but I didn't know how I was going to fulfill it or what it was going to be. And through all those small little things and experiments that I did, I think it kept driving me forward because of this passion that I had buried deep inside me that was like, oh, you like to fucking share stories with people. And Isaiah, I saw that he was able to help do that for me. And then I saw you kind of feeling, not you were feeling uncertain with what you wanted to do in your life. And then I just start fucking telling everybody if something works for me to, to go do the same thing, which when we started this fucking podcast, Sam, that's what I told you I do really well. I fucking have tidbits that I love to share with people, and then I fucking shove it down their throat. And it's up to them.
And then he catches women.
That's how I caught my wife.
Shoved it down her throat.
I do it because I think I've learned enough at this point. I'm 38 years old, Sam, where it's like if I'm going to commit time to doing something, I want to do it for like a positive result and I want to have some sort of personal growth. Like at this age, I can say that's why I want to live. I want to learn something and hopefully share it with the world.
Mm-hmm.
I have the voice to do it right now. So that's what I want to spend my time doing. So, fuck.
I don't have a segue or anything.
Were you listening to anything I was saying? I got 5% Sam here. The fucking guy, he's blinking. The battery's blinking right now.
No, that was great. I feel like it was an epic soliloquy.
It came back.
It came back full circle.
To us, full circle of me fucking telling people that I'm important.
But it was perfect because it's you're answering my questions that I'm sort of planning for, and expectations is very important. And you learned that presence was more important than these sort of expectations and thinking of these like very big things that you need to do. I don't know if you exactly addressed it, but what do you think is a pitfall that the creative person falls into? I mean, it's obviously related through you're being an actor out here, but what's a pitfall that you find yourself in, and then when you catch yourself, what do you do to get out of it?
Okay, pitfall of success for this industry. I honestly think that it comes down to not having the patience to continually develop yourself in your profession. And in my world, a lot of what we do at this stage is you're an independent contractor. You work on demand when people hire you, or you create your own work. You have to be a good CEO of yourself. And I think in this past year, I've learned it's harder it's hard. It's very difficult to be your own CEO. We just had a kid this year.
We did.
Sam and I and my wife had a child this year, and it rocked our foundation in that life up until this child came on this earth. We had a schedule that we were able to maintain, and now he's made it so that it is not a consistent schedule
A lifestyle.
The lifestyle is completely changed. And okay, you understand it to a degree, and then that whole fucking lifestyle changes, and then you're playing catch up for a lot of the first few months because it's just so much work. And then I guess the other thing I would say is, besides being a CEO and having that patience, is you need to be putting in that work that everyone else is doing, and then more. I honestly think I listen to a lot of intelligent people talk. I listen to a lot of people in
podcast.
this podcast. I listen to a lot of people in this field through podcasts and interviews and all this crap. And the end of the day is, you can ask yourself, are you doing what you think is enough to help you improve on a day-to-day basis? Like, are you really working on your craft? And I think taking inventory on what are the things you could do to get to the goals that you want to, like we started talking about today, which is like, how much clarity do you have of what you want? And then simply writing out some steps to get there. And without overcomplicating life, that's really the simplest form of success that I can tell anybody. What do you want to do? If you can write it in a few words or a sentence, and then break down step by step what it is you need to do to get it done. And if you just follow that as a template and then learn more things and change after, you can be anything you want to in this world. I'm going to make bold statements and say just that it doesn't have to be overly complicated. The work has to be there. The sacrifices have to be there. And if you want that kind of greatness, as the people in the acting world will say, if you come to Hollywood and you want to be an actor, it's like the Olympics of acting. And it's how much are you doing every day to be that Olympic athlete. And I think when I heard that a few years ago at this place called Leslie Kahn Acting Studio, it made me give this work a perspective I didn't have. Because some people come to this city and they've just become famous, or they have their 15 minutes and it just works for them. That's not the majority of people. I've experienced this now for 8 years or 9 years. It's work. It's like, what are you willing to do to put in every day to get to that finish line and then past it? Because once you get there, you need a new job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such a good lesson.
Patience and work.
Patience and...
Do you want to do the work to get to the reward? And then when you do, are you willing to do it again?
What do you say to someone who's like, oh, well, I've done the work. I've gone through the classes and I'm in like 5 acting groups and I'm making sketches every day. And I have a podcast and it's just not happening. Then what do you say?
I would check to see how they are internally. How do you view yourself? How do you feel about yourself? Do you feel good about what you do? Do you wake up and have a terrible look at the world? And I would be interested to be like, well, what do you know about your current situation? And then what would you do to get out of that situation? And again, it's basically what I just explained to you. But coming to mental health, if we're not able to at least look at ourselves and get a good inventory of where we are and where we want to go, the actual things that we want to do, like a job, a relationship, personal health, let's just say weight or dieting or anything, any relationship with anything in the world will suffer because we don't know how to find some sort of happiness or drive consistently. And I guess, I don't know, fortunate, unfortunate, I didn't learn that until 2012. Until I was faced with situations, and thank God I was like, oh, I don't have to fucking let this suffer. I can work on it in a constructive way. You know what I mean? So I think in the last 8 years, I found that there's true value in my life. And the things that matter the most require the most effort. But effort is not a negative. It's just part of the process.
Right. And I mean, I just want to kind of highlight that again. These expectations, maybe there's another word for it. Um, Assumptions that this is the work you have to do. You're saying you're an Olympic athlete, so you have to train. So the expectations are you do the training, you do the work. But then if it's not working, check your mental self. And I think a lot of people overlook that the mental place that they need to be in, or just how they feel about their life. And at least for me, I wrote off my mental self with the fact of like, you know what, I'm just living my life with this pursuit,
Mm-hmm.
and the pursuit just comes with the grind.
Yeah,
And
accepting.
I'm just you accept the situation as just this is how people live their life, and this I'm choosing to do this. Like my friend always says like what is it, pressure makes diamonds. And people write off or put off not taking care of themselves because they say this is just how it's going to be.
They accept that their fate is permanent.
Mm-hmm.
But let's play the other side of the coin. So we already said, okay, if you have something personal or mental health wise, you got to take care of that. Everybody should go see a therapist, no matter whether you think you're happy or sad or in between. It's good to check in with somebody qualified for an outside perspective,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some small changes. I guess you could tag on to that would be education. I was at Phil's twice today. Once earlier when I started my day, and then when we came together. There was a notebook on one of the ledges there, and it was like a gratitude book for 2020. What are you grateful for? And I looked at it, and I swear to you, all I spend my time doing, I'd say about 20 to 25% of my time is finding ways to just add positive shit in my head. So if it's an Instagram post, if it's a fucking Facebook thing, if it's an article, anything I could find that I'll be like, oh, that's nice.
That's positive.
It wasn't something shitty. It was something that you could be like, you know what? Some days are tough, but if you fucking hug somebody, it'll make it better. And tomorrow you can wake up and try again.
Mm-hmm.
Something stupid. I'll latch
like
on
that's
to
enough
that.
for you.
So I will say, if you're not somebody that has a mental health issue, because not everyone does, and you are trying,
I often forget,
and things are still not working out in your favor, and you're doing the fucking auditions, and you're doing the shows, and you're putting the sketches together, and you're writing, I feel like we reach a ceiling as an individual, and you need to then try to get some outside guidance or information or knowledge. And so I wrote in that book that I get to wake up every day, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to learn something new. And I think there's something very simple and pure to that. Like I just said, positive information in hopefully leads to positive information out, with those kind of inspirational things that I look for. But if you hit a roadblock in life, you don't have to feel bad about yourself because you don't have the answer. That's why there's communities. That's why people live in congregation. And that's why we have the arts as a thing, because you don't have to be alone to share your story. You're taking something personal and you're giving it to the world. We can't hold those things in. At a certain point, you're going to hit situations in your life where you're just going to be fucked and you don't have answers because you don't have that capacity. It's okay to ask for help. You need education to help give you that experience so that you come out on the other side, and hopefully you can give your experience to someone else in need and they can gain from it.
Yeah.
That's what I want. That's all I want in life. And hopefully my experience is funny. There's going to be pain. There's a lot of pain, but I can look at life objectively or subjectively and say, that was an experience, whether it was good or bad or ugly, and I'll find the thing that made me laugh about it. And I've been sustainably able to do that for the last 10 years when I stumbled into that improv class.
I don't know if you're going to keep going.
1%. 1%. The fucking phone's now just a rock.
It's a paperweight.
It's a paperweight. It won't even vibrate if it was on vibrate mode. It would do it once and die. But this is what I want to do.
That was a beautifully put. I've had a lot of people talk to me, 27 hours of individuals answering these questions, sharing these stories. And I haven't heard that before.
That's what's up. That's what's up right there. For real. That's what I told you I wanted to do when we were walking to the coffee shop. I want to talk about life in a way that if I've learned anything, I can share you my experience, and hopefully it doesn't fuck you up and it doesn't push you in the wrong direction. Isn't that fucking crazy? That is a thing people do for a vocation. They can do it in a fun, cool, exciting way that isn't just fucking like just droning on. I want to do it in a cool way. You and I have been writing stories for 2 years now, and we learn how much it drives us and excites us to be able to come up with an idea that's like, oh shit, this might have some legs on it. Like, this is something that we're excited about, to share this journey of whatever it is story that we're talking about.
Yeah.
We don't get paid to do it right now, but we do it diligently because we're like, fuck, we can learn and we can share the things that we find interesting in our life with the people around us. Like, we're living and breathing, doing the thing regardless of being paid. And I think I learned through my journey that if I didn't understand that part of it, then the financial part of it would never come out. I'm not smart enough to be a get rich quick guy. I'm in it for the long haul, and I'm going to learn everything about it to some degree to be like, how can I fucking benefit? How can I share? How can I build?
Yeah. Well, we can kind of from here, because I want to wrap up with a few more of the questions that I like to ask at the end, but I also want to talk a little bit about our process of starting to shoot stuff together, and then getting into shooting the Ousted project, and then sort of the different offshoots of that.
Yeah.
So we met we really met through Jeff Slonicker's character class.
Yeah.
So through a class community, we both wanted to learn more.
Of course. That, like, you took that time to say, this is something that I need to build on, and you invested that time and energy.
Yeah.
That's fun that's how we met.
I think that might be the last class I've taken.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a while, and I'm actually starting a new class on Saturday.
Through the pack?
No.
Oh, where?
Through the Idiot Workshop.
Oh, the clowning stuff?
Yeah.
Why?
I just have heard so many good things about it.
Okay.
But
not putting it down.
No, it sounded like you were. But through...
Well, I guess it's like, well, why are you investing your time in this, and what do you expect to receive out of it?
I want to...
You know the fucking theme of the conversation I've been having with you for the last hour.
Just the sort of freedom. Just the freedom of it, and being, seeing if I can work through some more stuff. Because I'm getting to a point where when I'm on stage and doing stand-up, that I know there's more, and it's behind something.
So then, is this more for the need of...
Just exploration?
Yeah. But like for your stand-up or for your live stage sketch performance?
Well, the big picture goal is, I've seen that like through these sorts of programs, in the community, people workshop a sort of one-person type show.
Yeah. Okay, good. No, I want to know the why, because if you're like, I want to be a better sketch performer, it's like, you can't fucking make that a real life thing. Like, you're not going to make a salary being a sketch performer that would be livable.
No, I'd like to do like when Fringe comes around and I have a show.
If you're like, I want to have a skill set so that when I'm on stage doing jokes, I have this fucking freedom out there. I love that. Then that makes me then stop the preaching because you're doing it for a reason that is working for you.
Right. It took me a while, and I realized, oh man, I can't really get much further on my own.
Yeah.
And
So in our relationship, I really value the fact that we can help each other kind of see clarity. I wasn't involved in this part of this process, but I know for other things in our workings together, we do help each other kind of see the bigger picture or the simple picture more seemingly, and how we've been able to help nudge in the right direction. So I love working with you in that respect, that it's like, bring a good idea in, or bring an idea in, and we'll explore it and we'll see what you could do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like, I joke, but I don't want to be the guy that's just fucking telling you what to do. I want to know why you want to do something and see if I can help you do it.
Yeah, oftentimes I wouldn't know why I was doing the things I was doing. I couldn't have an answer.
You've gone through so much change in the last year.
Yeah.
Where you're like the 2010 Rohit, where you're just like, what the fuck? Like, I thought I knew what I was doing, but now I need to figure out what it is that I like or what I want to do. And I think that's exciting.
I mean, I had to do my version of taking piano classes.
Hell yeah.
You know, whether it's, okay, let's see if I'm an actor. I'm going to go and try to act. And then like, I'm just breaking out in sweat bullets acting. And I go, being on set and acting, and you're like, you know what, maybe this isn't what I want to do. Constantly thinking about camera and being like, I think I should be behind the camera.
And I know we've talked about it too, where I'd be like, all right, it's the next week. I'd be like, well, what flavor of the week are you? Are you the writer, the director, the actor? And I was understanding of all of the differences of like, oh, when I did it this week, it didn't click, or if I did it that week. And I like being on the journey with you to figure out how we can complement each other and or do work that would help each other out, as well as hopefully make a finished product that can be serviceable to other people.
Right. Sort of exploring those different things. And even like, I just want to be a staff writer. I just want to be in a room. And then I think like, well, do I really want to do that? Do I really?
Yeah. Do I even know what it means to be a staff writer? Am I doing the staff writing habits at all? And you told me last week or 2 weeks ago, you're like, what is it that I want to do now that I've been doing X amount of different things, which I credit you to constantly having a lot of things on your plate and finding time to do them. And have new skills, new jobs, new people, everything. Like, you challenge yourself.
Yeah.
And he reads on top of it, which is fascinating.
Yeah, I read a lot.
This is the Sam J Gets Complimented podcast.
Thank you.
And I think it's important to be like, okay, I'm not going to sit back and let life dictate me. But then you're doing the things too that's like, well, is this the right thing for me to be doing? Is it servicing me? And I think I came across a lot of those questions too. And I think we've complementarily been handling them together, which is part of that community that I'm so happy I found. It's not a big one, but it's the people that I have for a reason. And I champion them, and I want to support them along what they're doing, because it would only help me in the long run too.
Right. I think drilling down into why are you doing this, and then what does it look like? What does that finished product look like? So, you said a few things like you like story, you like making people laugh, and you go, okay, fucking great. Like, what does that look like? Where do you see that going? Like, we have projects that we're working on together, and we keep exploring different things and aspects. But like, I think the question that people need to ask is like, what does it look like finished? Not the actual project, but like, where is it? What is it? Where is it at? Where are people watching it? What place is it? Are you submitting it here? Are you submitting it there?
Definitely.
Is this going to be on TV? What network is it going to be on? Like,
yeah.
Where is this going to?
But that's that big question that you were saying that we get daunted by, which is like, what is the final product?
Which is the final product?
And I think we could benefit from an experienced person that could maybe give us one solid tweak towards our work that would say, if you did this one thing, you guys could change the results that you're having. So the problem that we have is we work We have ideas, but then we're not able to necessarily see the final product that we envisioned. But that's realistic to a degree because of money and budgeting and resources. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but that's where we're at. It's like, okay, of the 6 or 10 ideas that we have, they're all in various stages of what kind of work progress it's in. But how do we then ultimately take those to the next level? So if you can help us out here, Sam and I are the workers. We have
Yeah.
no problem doing that. We have the passion, but it's like now we need that education or guidance.
But
to
you
push
said
us
it
over.
before. You enthusiasm won't get you there.
I agree. So what did I say? If your mental health is okay, which I think we're both in a stable place because we're seeing somebody.
Yep.
The desire is there. Okay. The effort is there. Then you need the education. So we're at that stage. We could use a tweaking. We could use a mentor. We could use some sort of guidance that can push us over the edge because the other things are there. It is a logical next step.
Yeah.
And if we continue to look at our lives and the things that we want to do in some sort of simplicity or simplistic form like that, then we can do whatever the fuck we want to. And that, I think, is what excites me every day, to be like, well, my father told me how he got his first job when he came to America. My dad came to America. He had a formal education in India. He had a master's degree. English wasn't his first language, but a lot of transplants or people that immigrate to America from their home countries don't have the level of quality of life that they may have had back home. And so my dad's first job working in the United States was at a gas station in 1982. And you wouldn't consider that to be like a good job to leave your family and country for. But my dad's main goal was, okay, I need to start and build something. And through that, he started asking everybody that came through this gas station what they did for work. And he eventually got a guy that said, okay, I work at this manufacturing company. Come in for an interview because you were eager.
Yeah.
The guy interviews him. Another guy interviews him. He goes, do you have experience in what we do? The guy goes, my dad says no. And he goes, then why would I hire you? And my dad goes, if you could put a person on the moon, then I could figure out how you do what you do.
Yeah.
And that came down to the desire and work ethic that this man had. That was just like, bro, it's possible. Just give me the fucking
Your
keys
shit
and I'll
is
drive that
like
car.
I have a goddamn master's. Or
I just came from around the world to do something, and I'm not going to fail. And I feel like if we can
That's
take that
very important.
approach, you can look at every day, whether the sun is out or not, and be like, I have a chance.
Yeah, for sure.
He dozed off. He just, I feel like we can watch it on camera. We'll keep it on this one.
No, you just you just finished your statements, and it sounds like you're gonna keep going. So I'm quiet. I don't want to jump in.
Can we add applause? Can we add some like hallelujahs?
Like,
or
if we can put a man on the moon, I can
if we
finish.
could add some fucking
It's not that long. It's a dramatic pause. You're
He
making.
said that he likes when his guests talk, and I was like, Sam, don't fucking
Yeah,
make me
I
do
know.
that. I don't want to fucking do that. And now I've been doing it for an hour.
That's the whole point. This is my last question for you. If you had a billboard on Sunset in La Cienega,
Yeah.
and you can have any sort of message on there, what would it say? Images, messages, picture, anything you want. You've talked about
Yeah.
themes
my
of
whole
this
fucking
episode.
Theme. If you can put a fucking man on the moon, then I can do anything.
And then it'd be a picture of you on the moon. Or something?
It would be a moon off in space, and then a fucking rocket going towards it.
Okay.
Because that means that you put the work in, you're in motion, and if you do all the fucking things I told you, you'll get to the moon. You know what I mean?
I
we
do.
gotta fucking hash it out again?
I love it. No,
Or did I say it fucking 10 times, 10 different ways?
you destroyed it. It was great. You answered all my questions. How does it feel?
I mean, you told me you only wrote down 3, and then I talked for fucking 55 minutes.
I skipped over some stuff. I made some stuff on the fly.
Yeah. I felt good about it.
Can you look into that camera, say my name is your name, and then
When I met you, Sam J, I was like, this dude's not Indian. What the fuck is that all about? Because Jay, it's J-A-I, J-A-Y. You'd see some J Indians out there, but that mustache and the mustache, he's a very Indian-ish kind of guy. You may be like you're a mixed Indian, your mom or dad could have been a gringo,
maybe.
and the other half could have been a fucking Indian. He rocked that mustache like you're from New Delhi.
I do.
Like half of my family has in India.
It's a good mustache.
Hell yeah. I've supported that stash for the last couple of years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Last thing.
Yeah.
I want you to, this is like just for promo.
My name is Rohit Sharma, and I pick up women.
And I answered all of Sam J's questions.
My name is Rohit Sharma, and I answered all of Sam J's questions.
Yes.
And scene.
And scene.
All right.
We did it.
Thank you, my friend.
A year in the making.
I know. I was like, wow, I'm surprised you asked me to be a guest on your podcast.
You're on my life,
considering
just my life podcast that I'm always on.
Sam was the first guest on my podcast about becoming a father.
We didn't even talk about that podcast.
Well, it's almost not even a thing that I have a child on this podcast, but that's not what we were here for.
That's not what we're here for.
This kid's going to fucking do all the things I told him to, and he'll be all right.
And you stayed in one position.
I was surprised. This is actually a very comfortable position.
Good. I'm glad.
I was worried that I would be shifting the whole time.
Me too.
But I'm a professional. I'm an actor.
Yeah. I'm going to act comfortable on this couch.
But yeah, I'm in a good spot right now. I might not be able to get up.
He's method.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you. Well, what'd I tell you? That was a historic episode. Probably the most important podcast in podcast history. I'm going to say it. It's a bold statement, but I'm going to claim it. I'm going to plant my 2 feet on the ground. That was boom, boom. And I will say it, put shoulders back. That was the greatest podcast in podcast history. Thank you so much for listening to Sam Jae Has Questions. You can find Rohit and all of his stuff on social media in the description below. Go check him out. Watch his videos. Watch him on TV. He's been on TV. I don't even know why I didn't say that, but Rohit Sharma has been on TV, mother jammers. So thank you for listening. I have a few shows this week if you want to come out and see me doing stand-up. I'll be performing this Thursday at the V for Vape shop in Los Feliz at 8 p.m. on the Killing Joke Comedy Show. A great lineup out there. I'm going to be doing some new material, so come out, enjoy that. I'll also be doing, going back, I'll doing some improv with my team, Royale. We're a sketch team, but someone booked us to do improv. I don't know why they did that. I'll put a link to my shows in the description as well. I'll start doing that and getting people to come out because I want to see you. I want you to see me and exchange some ideas, have some laughs, and have some fun. So thank you so much, and talk to you guys next week.